you have to be okay with like just riding the wave, you know, like the swells are going to come again and you just are on your surfboard and you're just like taking the ups and the downs, and you just have to be cool with that. And like that's so much of this game is like, if you want longevity, you have to be okay with riding that wave of uncertainty.
Tim Lebo, you're a multifaceted creative person, videography, music, authoring books.
I would rather put myself out there and fail than to never try. It's just part of the game. If I post it and only the people that were involved in the video think it's cool, that's a win. You know, it's a win to me. And my business came from me knocking on those doors and being like, hi, like, I'm Tim. I would love to do a free video for you. I now have like a fully functional business that pays all my bills and it's my sole income. And it came from taking those risks, but it's not even so much a risk, it's just putting yourself out there. Here's the blueprint. This is exactly what I did. There's no threat of competition. There's no fear of that. Like, so many people start ideas and they don't finish ideas. I think we should give without expectation, but I found that things did come back to me by the act of giving. I was willing to do all those things because I wanted this life so bad. So it's like, how bad do you want it? And make yourself of use. I don't get drained by the process. I get like, I love it. This is like what I want to do. I wake up every day and I'm stoked I get to do it.
All right, Tim Lebo, thank you so much for joining the show today.
Yeah.
You're actually one of the first people who reached out and suggested being a guest, which is awesome.
Yeah, dude.
It means the podcast is being recognized and going places. So,
it's growing.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
And I think this is a great chance to just meet new people. And it's really why I do my own at the end of the day. But yeah, appreciate you being here. I think a good place to start would be, you know, you're a multifaceted creative person, you know, do a lot of different things in videography, music, authoring books. So to take us back to your childhood, early inspirations, and what propelled you into the direction where you are right now. And you can just talk about, you know, education or wherever you want to take that question.
Yeah, for sure. Well, as most creatives, you kind of know at a young age that that's going to be a part of you. So like whether that's when you're a kid taking the family camera and like just making videos, or making skits, taking like the family piano and like, you know, playing songs on it, just like tinkering around. And I always craved a creative existence, but we grew up in the school system that doesn't necessarily nurture that. And so I felt very forced into the whole college route. And I was very much against that for myself, because I was like, what am I going to do in college? Like, I want to be on the road. I want to be traveling. I want to be creating. And that road just didn't seem like it was for me. I was touring in bands all through high school. Like on every weekend I was like on the road. In the summers I was touring, and I tried to go to Hack, which is like a local community college here. I went for like 2 weeks and then I just stopped going. I was like, this is not for me. And I basically was using every avenue I could to put out there into the world. I want to like be creating. I want to be a musician. I want to travel. And so I planted the bug in someone's ear. And I was at a party in Nashville for New Year's Eve. I planted the bug in someone's ear. Like, I want to be a creator. Like, I want to be a musician. Like, how can I get in the community? And he took it to a friend who, a band in California needed a guitarist. And they were like, make an audition video and send it in. I was working at Walmart at the time, unloading trucks, and went home from work, did an audition video within an hour, messaged it to them. The next day I'm unloading trucks at Walmart. And I get a text and the manager's like freaking out, like, the guys love your audition video. Can you be in California in a week? And I was like, yes, I can. Never flew before, never met the guys before. Went to my boss at Walmart and I was like, I'm joining a band in California. I have to quit. And they were like, what? And I probably should have handled it better in terms of like not leaving. But, you know, whenever you're 18 years old, I was like, I got to get out of here. So that's like the start of the creative journey, and like me like leaving, my comfort zone and like truly pursuing a creative life was that. So.
And what instrument did you play on that audition for the band?
Guitar. Yeah. Guitar is my baby. Guitar is my love. I idolized the band Blink-182 growing up, which I'm sure a lot of people in our sphere did. One revelation I had was I always thought that I wanted to be the guy on stage, the guy playing in the band. And I looked at guitar as like, this is my ticket to have like a free life. I learned later in life that it wasn't so much that I wanted to be a touring musician. I wanted the freedom that these guys had and that they seemed to have. And so whenever I realized like, oh, my life doesn't need to be just music, it can be anything. That's like when the creative doors opened up to, writing books, doing video. Like I didn't have to take that specific path of musician, but for a large part of my life, guitar was like the focus.
Mm-hmm. And when you sent the audition video, I did acting when I was younger. I did a lot of musical theater. At one point I was in a talent agency to try to get into
that's cool.
commercials. It didn't really take off anywhere, but I know the feeling of sending audition tapes and really you're not that optimistic that you're going to hear back. So can you talk about the whole mindset that you have when you're trying to take a chance on yourself and audition for things, or if it's just sending someone a DM to try to get your foot in the door? Because as creatives, I think oftentimes it comes down to taking a chance and taking risks and doing things like that. And you're not necessarily expecting it to happen, but you also might be a little delusional thinking, well, what if it does? What if they do respond? So can you talk about that whole mindset that you have, or that you had early on, of saying, I need to, like, I believe in myself, so I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to take action, even if it, getting beyond the humiliation of thinking, oh, they might think I'm silly for asking this, or they might not think my audition is good. Just talk about the whole mindset that you have currently and that you had early on, because I'm sure that was important.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I have always been someone who I would rather put myself out there and fail than to never try. Ever since I was a kid, even whenever it came to like telling girls how I felt, I was the guy that would like put my heart on my sleeve and not be afraid of the rejection, because I knew on the other side of rejection could be them saying yes. And like, I would much rather be at home bummed knowing that someone said no to me than being at home and being like, I should have said something. Like I should have spoken up. And I learned that at like such a young age. And so I was that kid growing up in bands where I wouldn't be afraid to talk to the venue owner and be like, we want to come back. Like, how can we come back here? Or cold calling venues. And so when it came to making the audition tape, I didn't have that fear of looking silly, because I knew like to play, like you have to play the game. Like you have to, it's just part of the process, like a lot of people get in their own way and like step on their own toe, and like just, I never want to do that to myself. And so, yeah, it was never a question of being afraid. It was more so like this determination of strike while the iron's hot. If someone says there's an opening, I'm not going home and like playing a video game for a couple hours. Like I went home from work and I immediately had my dad set up the camera, and I was like, make sure I'm in frame. And I got the guitar out and I like just busted out the song. So I know this is like a long answer to your question, but
it's great.
Just don't get in your own way is like my motto for sure.
Yeah. And I think oftentimes we might look up to certain bands or celebrities that we idolize. For you, it would have been Blink-182.
Yep.
And we're all the same, really, if you think about it. And yeah, people achieve success and fame. It's, I guess you could say people get lucky, and luck is when preparation meets opportunity. But
absolutely,
you have to put in that preparation, and you have to seize the opportunities that you get. And I know that sounds really simple a lot of the time. Like you're putting in the reps, you're passionate about your work when no one's listening, no one's watching. And I mean, for me, with this podcast, I have such a high standard for myself, even if there aren't that many people listening to it, just because I take pride in my work. And I know that if one day there are a lot of people listening to it, then if people listen to these episodes, they're going to see that I've always had that high standard and I'm not just kind of going through the motions. Just, I think that's an important part of it is you as a creative, if you have that standard for yourself, even when, if people aren't listening, when people do listen, it's going to make a big difference. And, so the pain of regret, I think we can all relate to that. And I'll use this podcast as another analogy. I'd rather appear foolish asking people to be on my podcast and not hearing back, or people thinking that I'm silly for asking them. I'd rather ask and not hear back and know that at least I tried than not asking at all. Or, there's a couple connections that I'm exploring of people, talent agents or people that might know certain people that I want to have on as guests. And I'm thinking, why not just call them up, email them, see where it leads. If they don't answer, at least I tried, and I can sleep better at night knowing that at least I tried. And I know we're both, saying the same thing over and over again, but it's a simple concept that goes a long way of just not being afraid to look foolish and letting that sustain you. I mean, I don't know if you want to echo any of that, but
yeah, I have a buddy who is a creative in Nashville, and we have conversations all the time about the fear of putting yourself out there and something not panning out the way you wanted it to. So you have this expectation, okay? So with this expectation, then comes, oh my gosh, if it doesn't pan out, I'm gonna be crushed. But it's like, you have to kind of look at things in life as, I am just going to like swing the bat at this ball, and I'd rather swing the bat and completely like miss than not swing at all and you could have gotten a home run type of deal. And so we talk about putting ourselves out there a lot, and it's just part of the game. It's I don't know if it's like putting in reps. I don't know if it's like you just have to keep doing the reps and eventually the rejection or the no's hurt less. I mean, do you find it to be that way where like the more you put yourself out there, the more people that ghost you or whatever, it stings less? Or is it just not like, do you not think that way?
I would say absolutely.
Yeah.
The more times that you don't hear back from people or that you get a no,
you realize you're still okay. Like, okay, that didn't crush me.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's so important in building your character. I don't know if that's the right word, but just getting used to rejection is something that I've only started feeling better about in the last couple of years. I would have such a thin skin about, if they don't like my work, or they don't want to be on my podcast, or they don't want to follow me back on Instagram, my day is ruined. And I mean, you can't think like that.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're the type of guy where you're like me, where this is coming from a place of love from you. And this is coming from a place of like, I'm going to be doing this regardless of the audience. Of course, I want it to grow.
Yes.
But I just simply love creating and doing this. And that's how I am. So for me, it's not so much of a matter. It's not so much like if this doesn't get seen by a lot of people, I'm going to be crushed. I want to do this because it's fun.
Yeah.
Like, this is fun for me to make videos and create with my friends. And so if I post and only the people that were involved in the video think it's cool, that's a win. It's a win to me. And I'm sure the same goes for you. If you post a podcast episode and you found value from the conversation, I bet you probably feel fulfilled and like satisfied. I mean, of course you want it to grow, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the people may look at me doing a podcast and think that on the surface level, the only goal is to have thousands of people listen to it and get sponsorships and make money from it. That's honestly the last reason why I do it. I mean, that would be great, but if I didn't start podcasting, like we wouldn't be here doing this because you wouldn't have discovered the podcast probably, or, you know, I wouldn't be in this studio probably. You know, I've recorded with Pete and Austin, and it's literally all of the intangible things or the unexpected things are the reason why I do the podcast. And I think that can translate over to music, or that you can derive purpose from so many different things and find fulfillment from creativity that doesn't necessarily have to be, there doesn't have to be a financial component to it, because, you know, friendships and people that you work with and things like that are probably more valuable than money, honestly.
1,000%, 1,000%. And yeah, and like transitioning into, you know, that whole music life of me. I mean, we can get into other creative stuff I did, but this ties into what you're saying. Is when I started video, this was like a whole new frontier for me. I was doing video for years, but like to actually get into the community, it just felt like daunting in a way. And so, because my whole life had been music and all my connections were music. What I did the first year of being in business is I befriended as many people as possible, and I offered my services for free. I wasn't there asking for a handout. I was like, let me do a video for you for free. And my hope was when we'd be at the shoot, we would just like see if we could be friends. And, you know, some people I am friends with to this day, and some people we just didn't gel with, and that's like totally fine. You know, personalities, you know, don't always line up. But like the people that I met that first year and that I like, we formed a bond. To this day, we're still throwing each other work, you know, and this was like 6 years ago. And so I guess what I'm saying is like my business came from me knocking on those doors and being like, hi, like I'm Tim. I would love to do a free video for you. And I now have like a fully functional business that pays all my bills, and it's my sole income. And it came from taking those risks, but it's not even so much a risk. It's just putting yourself out there. So I think that ties into what we were talking about.
Yeah, I think it's about being well-intentioned and genuine too. Exactly. And because people can spot inauthenticity from a mile away. So.
1,000%. Well, that was the thing, is like I wanted friendships. You know, I used to live in Nashville. I came back to the area and I was like, I don't really have a ton of friends in PA anymore. All my music friends were in Cali or Nashville. And first and foremost, I was craving like community, you know, and then, you know, I think this was before Silo and all these things that popped up, like thankfully popped up. But like at the time I was just like, I need to make friends and I need to meet people that are doing this. And so that's like where the DMs came in. Let me do a video for you. Let's see if we can be buddies. But yeah, you're so right.
So you get DMs from people wanting to work with you. And so that's kind of full circle, right? So how do you, I was having a conversation with my other colleague, Drew, on a previous episode about this, of rewarding thoughtful outreach. Because we've all been there, of reaching out. And then if we're being reached out to now, it's like a full circle moment. So do you try to give other people opportunities like that,
1,000%,
or reward it? Or can you give like some examples of that?
Yeah. The ones off like the top of my head, I just think of like videographers who hit me up that want to get in the game and they want advice or they want opinions. I'm down to like help anyone, because that's how I got into it. People lent a helping hand to me. So if someone's like, how did you get started, or how do I get involved in styled shoots, or how do I meet people? Just here's the blueprint. This is exactly what I did. There's no threat of competition. There's no fear of that, because no one, like you are you and I am me, and we aren't in competition. Like someone might need a videographer and hire a videographer, but I like to think that people hire me not just because I have a camera, but because they want Tim to do the job, you know? Just like, you know, people hire you because they want like Dylan to do the job. Right. And so I don't look at it as competition. So yeah, if anyone reaches out and they want help or advice, like I'm available. So
yeah, rising tide lifts all ships.
Exactly. That was the thing of it. That's like what I learned getting into this industry. Someone and I his name's Josh. He doesn't live here anymore, but he does video. Him and I had coffee one day, and I was like picking his ear about getting in the video space. And he told me, I don't even know if this number's true. I'm going to totally butcher this number. He said, like, Tim, just in Central PA, there's like 100,000 weddings a year, or it was like something crazy, like a crazy number. And he was like, there are not enough videographers to cover all these weddings. And I was like, wow, like, you're so right. Like, we aren't in competition with each other. Like, we could all eat from the table and we could all survive. And that just goes across all creatives, you know, like there are, you know, the photographers, the florists, the planners. So yeah.
There's so much opportunity out there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much work to go around. And yeah, I think it can be difficult to find work, but if you do the right things and know how to market yourself and put yourself out there and network and do these fundamental things that translate to, you know, success as a freelancer, then there's so much out there and it's really exciting. But I think it's about having the intentionality around the things we were talking about, putting yourself out there. And if you wait for things to come to you, it's probably not going to happen. You're going to have to take some initiative there. But I wanted to ask you next about, you said you wrote 2 sci-fi novels. So what prompted that? And also, what are the differences or similarities between, in terms of creative endeavors, writing novels versus video, music, and all of that?
Yeah. So I think it was 2015. I was leaving Nashville and I was like, I was again chasing the creative dream. And I was always someone who was interested in multiple avenues, and writing books was one of them. And I had this story called Earth to Abram in my brain, and it was about this kid who had like this really self-conscious quirk that he got bullied for, but really this quirk ends up like saving the world. Like whenever he learned to embrace this thing that he once was ridiculed of, this one thing that made him unique is what, you know, helped everyone. So I had like this like spark of an idea. And so I decided to write this book, and really it's no different structurally building like a video business or building a band or writing a book. It's people who like know how to finish something. Like so many people start ideas and they don't finish ideas. And whether that's because they're afraid of what they'll have to do once it's complete. You know, some people like will shoot themselves in the foot because subconsciously they don't know how to handle like if something were to go their way. It's easier to live in the space of, oh, like that just didn't work out. I was like, no, I'm going to write this book. I had no idea how it was going to get published. Just like, you know, we have no idea if a job's going to come. Like you have to be okay with uncertainty. You have to be okay with like creating the product first and then figuring out the rest later. So I was like, I'm going to finish this book. I had my dad, who was a teacher, proofread it. You know, I was like, Dad, is there any errors? And he was like, no, I think you're good. Put it out. And so I had the book ready. I just self-published it and I just put it out there into the world. And no, it has not sold well. And I would love for it to get properly published by like an actual company and have it like in Barnes and Noble, but that's like a whole mountain to climb. And I'm just so focused on the video business. But I loved the process of it so much that I was like, this needs a book 2. Knocked out book 2, and I have a goal to do book 3, but again, it's like a timing thing. But in terms of like your question, I don't think it's that much different. It's literally being like tunnel visioned and committed to completing something. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then you also mentioned that you have real estate investments and a portfolio around that. And I think the way I can phrase this question is, you know, as creatives, it's important to diversify your income a little bit. And I like to think of, you know, being a freelancer as a table with maybe a dozen legs to it. So, you know, if you're working with a dozen clients at any given time, you know, if you lose 2 or 3 of them, you still have a lot supporting the table, holding the business up.
It's a good analogy.
And then you're able to replenish those 3 or however many clients that were that moved on because you have other support. And that's just with like a freelance business. So in some ways, I think freelancing might be more secure, and it might be controversial to say, but like more secure than, having a corporate job where that's
1,000%
just
agree.
everything.
I agree.
Sometimes people might say the opposite because, if you're freelancing, you don't know where your next job's coming from. So there's uncertainty around that, but also you have a lot of things going on and all of those are supporting your business. So, but I think we can bring in, a real estate portfolio into that. I own my place, so I have some experience in that, but I wouldn't consider that passive income yet because I'm not like renting it out, but I have aspirations to do more of that. So I'd love your perspective on this just in general of sort of crafting. I think one thing you said in your initial message was going against the grain and really just being different in this sense of you have all these different things going on that make you, and you're finding different ways to create a sustainable career from a bunch of different sources. So can you talk about, I know that's kind of might be a complicated question, like all over the place, but can you talk about the sustainability of your freelance career and also incorporating other things like real estate to sort of diversify that and how that's been important for you?
Really good question. It's a well crafted question too.
Thank you.
So to answer the first part of that is I feel confident in the sustainability of the freelance career because of the sheer fact of like the community and the network that I now have. I feel like because of the community that I have, I can rely on people, and I am friends with planners, and people are always going to be getting married. There's always going to be weddings to film. There's always businesses that are going to need, video content, and there's always going to be stories to tell. And, that's just kind of where I feel at peace with knowing like, okay, like I'll be all right. But to answer your question is like, again, my buddy in Nashville and I have this conversation a lot. He's a music producer. We talk about the idea of, if we don't show up, if we stop like trying, then like everything crumbles. It's like all on us. It's not like you're carried by some corporate entity that'll give you sick days and all these things. It's like, you need to show up to the wedding. You need to show up to the shoot. It's all based on you. And there can be some pressure with that. And we were like, what can we do? What kind of businesses can we build that don't just it doesn't depend on us showing up. It's not like on Timothy Lebo's shoulders. It can be just like a thing that we do that can be passive. And we landed on real estate. And so, he's on his journey with that and I'm on my journey. But it has been this thing where I've been learning a lot about how to utilize money, how to invest, when to invest, like learning about the market. And it's something that I'm early in the stages of, but it's something that I see growing tenfold down the road because what if something happens to where I can't film anymore or who knows what could happen. If I need to take a pivot and maybe I can't do this anymore, what does life look like then? How do I still support myself and my family? And it's like, well, if I can get into the real estate game and have passive income, that doesn't sound too bad. So like, why not try building all these things now while I have money coming in? So that's basically the goal, is to take pressure off myself. And and
I think everything is moving so quickly with technology, AI, what businesses are opting to do instead of, maybe they're trying to do things in-house or do videos themselves. Yeah. And I'm not saying that I think AI is great for the tools that I use it for to speed things up, but the way that it's progressing, it just seems, no industry is safe. And there's a lot of difficult conversations that need to be had around what if my role becomes obsolete?
Yeah.
You have to be forward thinking about, I often try to think of myself as a video strategist as opposed to a videographer
Because that's the big thing now is like, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
But you're 1,000% correct. Is like you could exist 5-10 years ago just wearing the videographer hat, but now businesses are like, I want more than that. Like we can get pretty videos now on our iPhone. Like how can you give us more? And so you're totally right.
Yeah, I've said this so many times in my content, but you got to be more than a button presser. That's what I say. You got to be a consultant and a partner and have results in mind. How are you using video and the service you're providing as a vehicle to get results? I know that might be different with weddings where it's more of an emotional, it's a keepsake. It doesn't necessarily have a business ROI for the couple. So it depends on what the context is. But if you're working in marketing with companies and stuff, which you have experience in, it's that's the way that I like to encourage people to be more forward thinking in, is
Absolutely.
having that thinking cap on and not just being, I'm a guy with a camera who can edit, because there's a heck of a lot of people out there like that can shoot a video for you. But how are you actually going to, because at the end of the day, your clients, they want to make more money with what you're with what you're bringing to the table.
Exactly. So they're not just trying to like hire an expensive video that just sits there. Yeah, they want it to perform.
Yes. So, but I think people often neglect that. They just say, I'm going to make a good looking video that may or may not perform well and get my paycheck for it. And I mean, that we might be inclined to think that way but I think it comes back to, like, is this only a means to an end, or is this what we're called to do? Like my vocation, so to speak, if very similar to you, is I've always known that I wanted to be in film and video.
Yeah.
So I let that propel me and influence the way that I think about these things, which is if I just go through the motions and I want to make sure that I'm delivering on my promises and and having the integrity around the services that I provide to people, and not just being like an artist. Because I think it's a combination of it's a combination of being an artist and a strategic partner. So I love that.
Yeah, no, you're 1,000% spot on.
Awesome. So what a theme around this podcast, I think, is just giving encouragement to full-time creative people, whether it's people in the video space, graphic designers, photographers, musicians, because I often say that, and this might just be my imagination, but I think there's a stigma around it compared to, if you're working in STEM fields or things like that. If you say, oh, I work for myself doing video, I always think that people are judging me for doing it. I've really gotten beyond that, where I'm like, I'm very content in my shoes and what I do, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
I don't have to explain myself to you. Yeah.
Yes, but with that being said, other people who want to pursue things like this full time might not have developed that resilience to that way of thinking yet. So what would your encouragement be to people if they want to pursue something along the lines of, music, video, maybe they want to author a book or something like that, and they're just they're afraid to pursue it, or they don't think that they can do it full time and create a business for themselves and do things on their own terms? Like, what would your message to those people be?
Yeah. The way that I would encourage someone is be of use to somebody. Like, be someone, share your skills that you have and like be of use to somebody. And I know that might sound very general, but like I said, that first year when I didn't know if this was just a dream or not, I was like, I am just going to give people my knowledge and my skills, and I'll just be of service to people. If you have a business and you have no budget, I'll give you a free video that can potentially help you. And I was just, I don't know if this sounds cocky or not. I mean, I'm adding value like in all these places that I went. You know, I'm adding value to this person's business and this photographer. I just kept giving myself, and I found that things came back to me, you know, in the act of giving.
Yes.
And I want to also put it out there that I think we should give without expectation. You know, like it's just a good thing as a human being, you know, to give without the need to have something to come back. But I found that things did come back to me by the act of giving. So if you're someone who you're sitting at home and you're wondering like, how do I take my photography business full time? And I know like we all have responsibilities and time constraints and we need to make money. And like, I totally get all those things. I built this business working full time. I was working in a domestic violence shelter and I was working, you know, 40, 50 hours a week. I wasn't sleeping well because I was doing night shifts, and I'd come home from my job and like, I was working full time in video too, editing client videos, and I was taking meetings, and I was going 2 hours to Philly to do a shoot for an hour and drive 2 hours back. I was willing to do all those things because I wanted this life so bad. So It's like, how bad do you want it? And make yourself of use. And the number one thing that I really try to stick with my business, and this was, I don't know if this is like a helpful tip or not, is people want to feel seen. Like anyone you come in contact with, they, at the core of it all, want to feel seen and they want to feel heard. Just like your partner in a relationship, they want you to see them and not just like look through them or just say what they want to hear. Like they want to feel seen. And whenever I approached my clients that same way, things really blossomed for me. So I don't know if that helps anyone.
Yeah, one thing I took away from that is just, we have more time in the day than we realize.
So true.
You know, if you really want something, if you want to do something full time, even if it's not right now, what ways can you plant seeds or put in reps or do things that will lead to where you want to be? And if after dinner every night, it's okay, I'm just going down you know, TV shows and that's how you want to spend your evenings,
right?
That you could replace that with, you know, working on your business, and eventually you can take it full time. And I know that can be spun into, it's like, oh, well, that can be toxic because then you're working all the time. But it's like, well, then don't come complain to me and say, well, I don't have enough time to, it's like, yes, you do.
Have time.
You have time for the things that are important to you. And it's life is all about decisions and what you're prioritizing. So sorry if that's a hot take, but I don't know.
No, you're 1,000% right. And a lot of people want to feel coddled in that. They want to feel like they're okay for not taking the steps. And it's like, it's okay if you don't want to do this full time. It's okay. Yeah. It's okay if this is like a hobby, and that's totally fine. But for the people that have like that drive and that desire to be full time, like you have to put that work in. And just because I've achieved full time doesn't mean that I can now coast. Like I'm still, you know, working hard. You know, I'm trying to keep it going. Like, it's just but the thing is with me is I don't get drained by the process. I get like, I love it. This is like what I want to do. I wake up every day and I'm stoked I get to do it. And for the people that are, I know people that are full time and they're miserable. And I often wonder like, well, like, what is it? Like, is that a sign that this is for you? Or like, I mean, that's like a deep psychology thing, but I don't know if you find that too. It's like, now that you're doing this full time, like, are you fueled by it? Like, do you get jazzed about it still? Like waking up every day, like I get to do this.
Oh yeah. I mean, it feels like a dream at certain points where I get to deal with cameras and edit videos for a living and get paid to do it. And I just think it's really truly an exciting time with the amount of resources that are available to educate yourself, the accessibility of information. These cameras and this equipment really is not that expensive if you think about it. And it's gotten a lot cheaper over the years. And really, I think it's a fundamentally good thing that anybody can start a podcast and have a platform or create their own business and things like that with the power of social media and the internet. And I think we take a lot of it for granted. And that's the encouragement that I give people is it's there if you want it. I'm not saying it's going to be easy necessarily, and there are times where I'm pulling my hair out and I'm stressed because I have this deadline. I have too much to do. I don't have, I have to do too much in too little time to meet all these deadlines, but I wouldn't have it any other way because it's for my operation and my business. And it comes back to the vocational aspect of like, this is what I believe that I'm meant to do. And I don't want to take it for granted because I know that there are people who are like waiting to hear back for proposals or whatever. And it might be difficult to find work. And I always catch myself of being like, I am never going to complain about having an opportunity to do what I love because it's so easy. We take so many things for granted, not just in our businesses, but in everyday life of how convenient things are and just the way that that technology has advanced and the things that's enabled. So I really try to have gratitude and perspective for all of the little things. And really, if you think about it, I'm not saying that there aren't things wrong with the world. There certainly are, and I want to be sensitive to that. There is a lot of suffering, and but for you really have to evaluate the things that you're complaining about because oftentimes there are a lot greater problems that you might not necessarily have, but I have too many emails to read, or it's like, oh, stop. Like,
for sure.
I catch myself saying that all the time.
If I have a giant editing queue, I have a feeling of like that overwhelmed feeling, but then I'm like, wow, what a blessing.
Yes.
Like what a blessing to have so much work to do.
Yes.
It's like these are the times that I dreamed of. And in the moment, like I think we're all allowed to be overwhelmed because like it is an overwhelming feeling, but if you want to have a pity party all day, that's whenever it gets detrimental.
And also I love the saying of like, what a privilege it is to, I want to be careful about how I say it, but like what a privilege it is to be stressed out or to go through hardship, because that's a part of being alive and being human.
Yes.
Like sometimes I feel like we just expect if things aren't going very smoothly or easily, or, I don't have this client anymore, or I didn't get this job, or, I got rejected here for whatever reason, or that like if you're expecting everything to go smoothly, that's not, life is not fair. So it's part of being human and it's a privilege to experience those things because you're alive and you're breathing, and that's a gift. So I know it sounds cheesy, but
this is like not a shameless plug because I'm not even like promoting these so much, but I made the shirt Ride the Wave, and it's not a unique saying, but I designed this to remind myself of like ride the wave of life. Like 2 years ago, I had the best year of my life when it came to the business. And then last year it like completely took a dip, and like I was still able to do my thing, but it was nowhere near like 2 years ago. And you have to be okay with like just riding the wave, like the swells are going to come again, and you just are on your surfboard and you're just like taking the ups and the downs, and you just have to be cool with that. And like, that's so much of this game is like, if you want longevity, you have to be okay with riding that wave of uncertainty. And
I love that. Let's end it there. The last thing is just where can people find you if they want to view your work or hire you for services, or whatever links you want to give people?
Yeah, for sure. Well, just www.timothylebofilms.com. That's my website for video. Instagram @TimothyLeboFilms. My book is Earth to Abram, Abram. Just Google it and you'll find it. And that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tim. This was a lot of fun, very insightful, and we'll have to do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.